Badger fans, what's good? We have a special guest today, somebody making his second appearance on the show. I'm really excited to break down Tackett Curtis's game, his fit in Madison, from somebody who knows him as well as anybody. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 moneyline bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And let's just jump in. So we have Jess Curtis joining the show for the second time. Tackett Curtis's uncle, also his high school coach at Manny High School in Louisiana, three-time state championship high school coach in Louisiana. Jess, thank you so much for jumping on again. It's the second time. And I just want to start here. You know, a year ago, you and I talked, and I told you Tackett Curtis is like my favorite guy in this class. And then you all broke my heart. But I want to start here. That recruitment with Wisconsin, I know you and I have talked a little bit. You've talked to some other people. How hard was it for Tackett to say no to Wisconsin in the first time?
It was very hard. I mean, Coach April and Coach Leonard, they deserve a lot of reasons why he's coming to Wisconsin here. Piggybacked by the new staff, but I mean, they just developed such a great relationship with Tackett and the family and all, and just love Coach April and Coach Leonard, and they did such a great job of recruiting him. It was like they were at Manny every opportunity they could be. The possible number of times that they can recruit a kid, they were there, and it was just such a great relationship and great rapport. The culture at Wisconsin was something that Tackett was looking for. Style of play fit Wisconsin like a glove. So it was so hard when at the very end that he had to call and tell them that he was going elsewhere. And again, credit to those guys. Coach April still contacts me to this day. He contacted us when we were looking at going back to Wisconsin, and again said great things about the new staff and everything. And so I think a lot of people need to give those guys credit for what they did. The family, not just Tackett, the family loves that place.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit, because culture is something that's a buzzword. I mean, it gets thrown out a lot, right? But you're a coach. You've been in locker rooms. You've seen college cultures on recruiting visits. Like, what actually is different about the Wisconsin culture from a coaching perspective?
It's blue collar. It's hard work. It's lunch pail. Go to work every day. It's not about all this money that, people are getting thrown at them now. It's about a certain type of kid going in there and being hard nosed, and that's really what he is. He's already told me just the first workouts, just how great they've been, and the type of players that are in there, and it's just a breath of fresh air. And we've always loved Big Ten football. My family, we're football junkies, and we're from the South, but we've always respected the type of kid and the type of game that's played in the Big Ten, and we've just felt like it was such a great match for Tackett and that culture up there.
So one of the things that I found really interesting the first time we talked, Coach, is you had mentioned you and Tackett had sent your film to Wisconsin, had sent his film to Wisconsin. Like that culture, even before they had really reached out and started that recruitment, that culture appealed to you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of his dad's picks. His dad, Iowa, Wisconsin, just places that are known for having great linebacker play, a tough, physical. Tackett likes to get in the weight room and go to work, and it just appealed. He begged me to send it to those guys. I did. I got Coach April. He's a Louisiana guy. And I got Coach April to look at it, and we started the relationship. Coach looked at it and immediately called me and said, "Man, we need to talk about it." And it went from there. We were real excited because, again, we love Big Ten football, and it was really our first. Michigan, he was already getting heavy input from Michigan, Ohio State, once Jim Knowles got there. But, Wisconsin, once Coach April saw the film, it was immediate. Want to get Tackett on campus type thing.
All right, let's transition into USC a little bit. And
okay.
I want to throw this question up. I think this is a good question. This is from Justin, and he said, in some ways, is a true freshman almost set up to fail if they're asked to start right away at a big-time program? And they're a highly regarded recruit, so the fans expect, Mike Singletary to walk in the door immediately. And I know there were some perceived struggles with Tackett Curtis from the USC fan base. Can you just speak to that a little bit as a coach?
Yeah, it was a different deal. Scheme, style of play. That was one of our things coming here. He wanted to be more of a be able to find the football instead of football, play football instead of football, and he was asked to do some things that were new, and again within the style of the defense he was playing. A lot of times I would call him and say, "Man, what are you doing here on that certain play?" And he was like, "That's what I'm supposed to do." And fans sometimes don't understand what's called and what you're supposed to do. And he said, "If I don't do that, I get pulled off the field." But yeah, Tackett was unbelievable in his spring, and in the fall camp, some kids in front of him got injured, and so he took advantage of it. And they started calling him Captain America and things like that, and the hype train began. And again, there's still learning curves to going out there and playing D1 football as a true freshman. There's not many you can really count on one hand, probably in Wisconsin's past of guys that played as true freshmen on the football field. And so, learning the angles and things like that. But, we were real impressed. He had games where he kind of was allowed to come downhill and play, like the Notre Dame game. He had, I think, 9 10 tackles, but then you get in these different games where they're doing different things, and him learning this new college type deal, fast paced, this and that. There's a learning curve there, but that's to be expected, from any incoming freshman, and that's what's so appealing for, Coach Fickell and them, is that they're getting a guy that's got a whole year of starting under his belt as a freshman. Now he's got 3 more years, and the sky's the limit for him.
Do you think that hype train is maybe? I don't want to say the worst thing that happened, but do you think that's maybe not the best thing that for a true freshman to come in to build that hype train up?
Yeah, I mean, because there's learning curves, man. It's the first time you're playing in the Coliseum, and you're playing against, it's just a different deal, and it's a different type. It's a different type scenario, for him. And I was extremely proud of him. And as he continued, he played. He was not 100% from probably week 2 on. He hit it from people. That's what he does. I mean, he was banged up with some things, but that's Tackett. That's what he's going to do for Wisconsin. He's going to show up. He's going to clock in. But it was an invaluable experience, and we owe so much to Coach Grinch and those guys, because those guys truly believed in him. I mean, believed in him and knew and saw his talent, saw how fast he ran. They just looked at it as, hey, let's get this kid some experience to where, next year he's hitting the field, he's taking his lumps, and I mean, the sky's the limit for him. And we love this fit. We love this fit of the scheme. That was one of the reasons he chose Wisconsin, because he wanted to love where he was going. But on top of it, he wanted to love the scheme. He wanted to be able to be turned loose and attack. He felt like the Notre Dame game, he was allowed to attack and hunt. He wants to come somewhere. We told Coach Fickell he wants to hunt. He wants to be able to hunt again and find the football. And instead of doing a lot of these other things. And that's what they're wanting him to do. They're bringing him in to play Mike linebacker and hunt the football. And he's ready.
I definitely want to get into that more coming up next, but I want to finish really quick on USC, and just even in a year where that maybe didn't go to everybody's expectation, how has his game grown? He still played a lot of football in a big-time conference. How has he gotten better from his high school year to the year now he's coming to Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah, you just see the growth, and being a coach, it's a lot easier for me probably than the average fan just to see his growth, to where, special teams, he got a strip that won the Cal game that people don't talk about, just a tackle strip, recovered a fumble that he stripped. Just watching how hard he played, the angles, learning the angles, learning the quick adjustments, learning how to set the defense. All these things are new to an incoming freshman from Manny, Louisiana, So it's just he's in a great place. We're very thankful for USC, Coach Riley, Coach Grinch, Coach Odom. Those guys were tremendously vital to his development and belief in him. And so we'll be forever grateful for those guys for, number one, doing what they said they were going to do, and the belief they had in Tackett. And again, we couldn't be more happy for what we had last year. And now we're looking for another chapter. We think that we're planting him in a great place for him to grow his game, to be developed like they developed the linebackers that go to the NFL. So we think we've made a good choice.
All right, this is awesome. I can't wait to get into that fit at choice at Madison. We're going to do that next on Locked On Badgers with Coach Curtis. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. FanDuel is your number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. I might ping Coach coming back on who his favorite is in the playoff run here. Y'all know I'm a Niners fan, so I'm hopeful that there's some magic there for San Francisco, Brock Purdy, and that defensive line. But if you want to do any of that action this weekend with NFC, AFC championship games, basketball's going on. Obviously, baseball's going to start gearing up here in a couple months as well. FanDuel.com/lockedon is the place to do it. And right now, there's a great offer. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 guaranteed bonus bets, win or lose, over at FanDuel. Live game parlays, teasers, futures, spreads. It's all there. Fast, simple, easy to use. Please do it responsibly. But if you do that, have fun with it. Put some money on your favorite team. Bet with your heart like I always do. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NFL. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. To get started, FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, let's get Coach back on here. And as always, Coach, we really appreciate it because we're smarter when we get people like you on the show. I say that constantly. And I had several people request, hey, can you get Jess back on after Tackett popped? I'm like, well, I'll try. He might big time me. I don't know if I can get him to slum it with me again. Let's start here. So Tackett, you go to the portal. I want to start with just kind of a broad question. How is that portal recruitment different from the high school recruitment for you guys?
Oh, it's a lot more quicker and it's more intense. We knew it would be like that because again we had to find his place. It's during the holidays, but we had to find his place because he had to enroll in January so he could be eligible for spring practice. And so it's more intense. I feel for these college coaches. The fans really need to appreciate these. I mean, Coach Fick's getting ready to play LSU in the bowl game, and they're still recruiting and calling and setting up a Zoom in between practices. And, it's crazy. Tackett, for instance, he went in the portal, and it was immediate, the people calling, just calling my phone because they had recruited him. So they had my phone and wanting to set up Zooms. And so we set up Zooms for him. And I know the first 3 days he was home from USC, he would Zoom for about, an hour or so, and talk to the coaches, and everybody got to give a spiel. And, it was tough, but necessary, just to get a feel for the coaching staffs, the style of play. We try to get them to show us, their scheme and where they saw Tackett, what was their plan for Tackett. Do we feel like it was a good fit? We really want to make sure the scheme fits him so he can be Tackett again, to where he can run like he can run and go make plays. And, we really zeroed in on the schools that did that, kind of took the logos out as much as we could. Then once we identified the schools, once Tackett identified, his dad was very big into it. His dad, Tackett, identified the schools that felt like the scheme fit. Then it became, let's learn more about the coaches and their environment and this and that. And I think we did a great job. Coach Fick, I didn't know him prior to this, but Coach Robach was the big guy that immediately reached out to us. And I think he actually, during Tackett's official visit, I drove him on the boat, I think, around. And so he got to know the family and again, immediately jumped on that to see if there was any, if we had any interest in coming to Wisconsin. And of course we did. And he immediately got Coach Fickell involved. And I think once they saw that this could be a good fit, it started. And Tackett had a ton of interest from schools across the country. I mean, it was awesome and very appreciative to see that. But quickly, we just saw that the interest that Wisconsin had, and Coach Fickell really putting himself out there, calling us, calling my brother Tackett's dad, calling Tackett, just making sure it was known how bad they wanted him, how that they felt like he could help them move toward what he envisions them to be. elite defense. And, it's just, you could feel his passion. You could really feel how much they value Tackett, and that was important to us as well. I'm sorry from rambling, Ryan. I mean, I just, it's.
Don't be sorry at all.
I get fired up talking about it, man.
Dude, don't be sorry at all, man. That's a great answer. Listen, people are here to listen to you talk, not me. Let's be super clear on this. What does you mentioned? I thought this was really interesting. You mentioned you're looking for scheme fit on these Zoom calls. What are those presentations actually like? Did Wisconsin go into those with a leg up, and then the scheme fit kind of just solidified it?
I mean, they just get to know you, and then we ask the kind of, where do you envision playing Tackett? What's your plan for him? And where do you see him? And and immediately they said they saw him inside, but Tackett's like a Swiss Army knife. They could get into this thing and see. The best coaches put the best players on the field. And Tackett enables you to be able to do that. He can play the wheel. He can play the mic. He can play a hybrid safety approach. He can do a lot because he can run. And so. But they envision him maybe coming in and being that mic, to their and being that guy in their linebacker room that they're trying to, get. And you see they really went in there and really dug deep into the linebacker portal and bringing Jaheim in and they're, looking to play him a lot outside. I think that's where he wants to play. And one of the reasons he came to Wisconsin to kind of show his athleticism and this and that. And, when you're able to land those two type of players, their room got better real quick. Also went and got some, like he said, he wanted to improve to where, you need linebackers running down that field on special teams in the Big Ten, especially with these new teams coming in. And so, I think that was their plan. They were up front with how they wanted it, but they were very adamant wanting Tackett to be in the middle of that defense and a guy that they can really lean on the next 3 years.
Let me ask you this from your perspective and from Tackett's perspective, because Wisconsin did go into the portal heavy at linebacker.
Uh-huh.
A lot of players look at depth charts very heavily and say there's less competition here or more, and some don't. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer necessarily for anybody. Everybody's different. But did the depth chart factor into it for Tackett Curtis, or was it more fit and scheme and coaching?
Well, it was scheme and coaching, but there also had to be a need. We weren't, if they had their guy, then, we weren't going to come in. If they had their guy, there's too many options. He had tons of options, and everybody's sitting there saying, they're bringing him in to be their guy, one of their guys. I mean, again, you don't get a guy to play that many snaps, a starter, when you bring a guy in the portal a lot of times that has that many snaps and experience. They're bringing him in to play, and again, they want him to be their mic, and that's what he's going in there to do. Going in there, he's got to learn the playbook and all that, and you got to earn it on the field and every rep, and he knows that and wants that. We want competition. That's what makes you better and keeps you sharp. But I mean, if you're serious about winning the Big Ten and catching Ohio State and Michigan, Penn State, you got to have good players around you, and that's the way. I mean, Tackett knows what he is and who he is and what he can bring to Madison in that linebacker room, and he's glad that Jaheim's coming in, and we know they've told us what their plan is for Jaheim, and they told us what their plan is for Tackett, and they talked about everybody. And where where Tackett fits and what his role is going to be, and his role is going to be a big one. And Tackett knows that rolling into Madison. I mean, he knows that they're expecting a lot out of him. They're expecting him to come in and play, and they expect him to come in right away and prove that he's the guy that's going to be their guy for the next 3 years.
Do you get a sense, and I know you certainly all credit to USC for giving him the opportunity and the coaches you mentioned for helping develop him and give him that year, but do you get a sense that he's a little reinvigorated potentially heading into the Big Ten and playing in that conference?
Absolutely. And I think he wanted the Big Ten. He was excited about USC going Big Ten, but really traditional Midwest, I just think, he just needed to make sure that Coach Fick was, he was all in on him like the previous staff was. And boy, did Coach Fick, I mean, I'm telling you, and in my opinion, we had all the big boys after him, the LSUs, the A&Ms, Florida State, Nebraska, you name it. They're all in and they're all coming, Matt Rules, they're all, but Coach Fick, I'm telling you, for the fans, they ought to be excited because he bought it. He showed the Tackett that how much he valued him and what he thought Tackett could do to take it to the next level. Their defense, he wants kids that can run. He wants this defense, he said he thought was good, but the guys that can run can take this scheme and this defense to a new level, elite level that they want, so they can knock off the Ohio States of the world.
Let's go. And that dovetails into a question we got from Tri Glassing. I'm going to finish off here. And Coach, I'm so appreciative of your time. Yeah, you've talked a lot about Coach Fick already, but Tri Glassing says impressions of the new coaching staff. Is there anything else that comes to mind when you match up Coach Fickell with some of these other coaching staffs that you talk to in the recruiting process?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, we loved the previous Wisconsin staff. We loved it. They were Wisconsin, of course. Jim Leonard's Wisconsin to the core. I mean, I think the fans still love those guys, and really, I want to make sure everybody knows they laid the groundwork for this thing. I mean, he didn't even have to come visit because he knew how beautiful that place was and all that. But this new staff really impressed us. It's a bunch of Ohio State type guys. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it's a really good staff. It's well put together. They're football guys. It's a defensive-minded guy, and yet he's got a great offensive guy on the other side of Longo and those guys. But it was important to us to get that feel. And, Coach, I can't say it enough. Coach Fick knocked it out of the park. He was relentless and really won us over. He won me over early. I was ready to sign early, but I just kind of, let Tackett feel his way and feel his way through the process. But very impressed with Coach Fickell. I've been impressed for him when he was with Cincinnati and Ohio State. Just a tremendous coach. Strength and conditioning was very well. It was hit out of the park as well. Coach Tressel throwing the film up and showing, hey, Tackett, this is where you're going to play. We need you to come in right here. We need this right now. This is where you're going to be. This is what you're going to do. And he would show the picture and let Tackett envision himself being in that spot. And they just hit it out of the park. And so Wisconsin, we have no doubt where this thing can go with Coach Tressel. He's not coming in there just to accept a mid-tier bowl. He's ready for Wisconsin to take on the big boys, the Big Ten. And to do that, he feels like he has to have certain type players. And we were glad that he valued us and picked us as one of the guys to help him do it.
Coach, you're getting me fired up now. Season's too long a wait here. Justin wants to know off-season preparation. What does off-season look like for Tackett?
He is a workout warrior. Sometimes he may overdo it. Extremely strong. He was the strongest linebacker in USC's room as a freshman. Immediately walked in and was a workout warrior. He was running 21 miles per hour plus the little chips that they had for a 228-pound linebacker. That's what a lot of people don't really know about him, Ryan, is he runs like a deer. If you can go back and Google some of his high school games and watch him in the state championship run, he looked like a Colin Kaepernick type, those long legs running, and just, so his workout regime is unreal. He comes home from Manny and immediately he grabs a bite to eat and he's in the weight room. His high school prom, he didn't go. He was in the weight room while everybody was walking the red carpet. It's just who he is. It's a part of the game that he loves because this is what Tackett does. He understands that that's a separator. It's an advantage. It's an edge for him that when he can find that extra burst that he can find out there running all summer, the extra power through the weight room. And he has big dreams for himself. Nobody wants it more than him. And I think that's, too, another thing, Ryan, I want to make sure I say. He loves that Wisconsin fan base. He thinks that they're going to embrace his style of play, are going to embrace what he's about. And, I just think he fits in that. The Midwest is a lot like where we're from. We're from the South, where we're from a lot of farm country, and just, the value of hard work, and I just think it's going to be such a great fit. He said it many times. He loves that fan base. He's excited about them to be excited about him.
I can't wait for it. I know a lot of fans are excited about it. Just a couple more really quick questions. And again, really appreciate the time. From a coaching standpoint, this was something we saw some USC fans talk about. Did you see I know we talked about learning new schemes, new fits. Did you see some tackling issues at USC from Tackett? Maybe that's something that you didn't see in high school where he was trying to maybe learn his way through this?
Yeah, and then that's the thing too. You learn as a freshman going in, and in high school, he can run through people and just he could maybe throw that shoulder through them and they go down, like they were hit by a truck. And what you learn in college quickly is that you got to bring your arms. You got to do, that's what college coaching does. They take you to another level. You can't get away with some of the things you can get away with in high school. He's obviously has the speed to run down any running back or this or that or cover anybody. But the tackling is different. And again, every staff at every school is a little different how they teach it and how many reps you get into it. And I feel like that's going to be tackling's what he does. That's why he's here. And I thought that he got better throughout the season as he quickly saw that, hey, this is a little different here. I've got to bring my arms. I've got to make sure that I get him to the ground.
JB asks, coldest weather he's ever played in, and is he ready for Madison?
He is. He actually sent me a picture of him first day in Madison where it was, like ankle deep snow you guys had. And it was tremendously cold down here that day, that Arctic blast we had. But, that's one of the things he's kind of looking forward to, and then everybody says that until they get in it, but, it's not very cold down here in Louisiana. It's the opposite where we have the humid. The humidity is like playing a microwave, and so that's going to be a different deal, but he relishes that. He's, again, a tough kid. And that's one of the things we always love, man, dream about playing in the snow and stuff like that. I mean, I think he's going to embrace that culture of toughness and playing no sleeves and stuff like that. I mean, he's excited about that. You watch the Packer games and stuff like that as a kid, and you just like, man, wouldn't that be fun to play in that type of elements? And that's football to me. That's what football is, and we don't get a ton of it down here in the South.
He's going to get a ton of it in Madison.
He's already getting it.
And I'm really interested in your perspective on this because you are a high school coach. You deal with high school athletes. You also have dealt with recruiting. You've dealt with the transfer portal now. If you were Lord Commander of the NCAA for a day, like what change are you making to make this sport better?
Man, the transfer portal can be great and it can be terrible. We got in it, and I'm going to say this before we get on. Recently, he left USC. He loved it out there. I mean, it was nothing was wrong with USC as far as, he loved the environment of living out there, 72 degrees every day, pretty girls everywhere. But the whole deal is, I think it's good when coaching staffs are removed. It's like that was his situation at USC. The defensive coaching staff was completely removed. The guys that bought him there and believed in him, and so that was his deal. Do I stay here and hope that this new staff coming in values me like the last staff did? Do I burn a year of eligibility finding out? Or do I get the portal and all the teams that value will come to the forefront like they did? And believe me, Tacketts, he's not a portal guy. And that's what he said. I hate being the fact I'm in this dang portal, but at the same time, he wanted to make sure he was playing for a guy that saw what he was. And we think we've done that, but I think to fix it, I think that I hate that the portal is before the bowl games. I think it's made the bowls almost it's hard to watch if they're not the main bowls because Wisconsin was missing several games. It's what it is. But again, I've told people you can't move it back because these kids have to be able to, like we did, be recruited and make their decision before college enrolls in January. So it's a tough situation. I'd like to see maybe you have to sit that year or unless there's situations with staffs being removed or a coach taking another job or something like that. I don't know. Something's got to be done. I just think it's the Wild West right now in terms of the money being thrown around as well. To be honest, it's like pro ball almost in a sense. But the NFL has it better, Ryan, because they have kids under contract. Where in college, these poor coaches, it's like they're coaching year to year to keep them in their program. And sometimes I think it's hard to do that. Sometimes coaches are recruiting their players during the season, and that's never a good deal.
Yeah, I think that's happening a lot, unfortunately. I agree with you there. He is Coach Curtis. Again, thank you. Gave me more time than I had asked for, and I am very appreciative for it. I have your Twitter down there, Coach, at Coach_J Curtis. Anywhere else people can follow, cheer along? I know you're not at Man anymore. I tried to pronounce your high school name and I failed.
It's Tackett Central, but yeah, I'm on Facebook and on Twitter, and I'm following every Badger site I can find. We're excited to be, the family and Tackett. So excited to be a part of this. I mean, I've already got my Wisconsin gear coming in, and we're ready to rock and roll, man. I'm gonna try to make a couple games up there this year. Maybe make one of those snow games or two. So
let's do it, man. It's a great home slate. They get Bama, they get Oregon. I think they get it's a great home slate, man. Let's meet up.
That's unbelievable. I mean, to be able to play in those type of games, and that's really what you want. So I told him, I said, man, you're going to be playing Bama. You get to go back in the Coliseum and play USC. Next year, you go to Michigan. I mean, that's why, I mean, it's so alluring. I mean, you want to go play in the Big Ten, and you want to play for a coach like Coach Fickell.
I love it, man. He is Coach Curtis. Again, we are smarter because he's here. Thank you for the time on Wisconsin, and we'll talk to all y'all later.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you.
Of course, man.